Good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing very, very well. Welcome to this very random hashtag scenic lay-by that I've decided to stop in. This is obviously my KTM Super Adventure S, as you all know very, very well. And this thing is an absolute tyre muncher. This is actually the third time filming this video. The reason being, I filmed a lovely section of me absolutely spanking the living daylights out of this bike around the ABR festival. Cheeky bit of rev limiter, little bit of air. I cut it into two separate parts, so I had one part which was the ABR video that you would have seen if you've watched that video a couple of weeks back, and then I had a second part of it which was a review on these things, which are the Dunlop Trailmax Raids. But what I managed to do in spectacular fashion, I thought, yep, ABR video's done, I'll delete the footage, I don't need it anymore. Are you sure you want to permanently delete these files? Yes. And then I forgot that I had the Dunlop Trailmax Raid video in there as well. Pretty irritating. You may see parts of the ABR video that I will cut in, primarily to prove their worth as off-road tyres. Then I also filmed a 500-mile review on them, which had some very valid points in it. So, well, I think so anyway. It was my video, so I think they're valid. But I have now done just over 1,000 miles on these things. I don't know exactly how much these are retail price. I'll put it on screen here somewhere. But at the ABR Festival, they were £275 for a set fitted. I was talking to Tony from Man Cave Moto, and he spoke very, very highly of them. So I thought, sod it, why not? Son golazos! Hello! If you tolerate this. In terms of wear, I think they've done pretty good. The leading edge is a little bit round. Apart from that, they look pretty unworn, weirdly. The key part of this is I want you to remember that these are 50-50 knobbly tyres while I do this road. And again, pretty cold tyres at the moment. I'm trying not to speed too much because I'm obviously filming myself, he says, on the back wheel. Whee! Now I've had Anarchy Wilds and TKC80s on this bike in the past, which are again 50-50 tyres. They're arguably more knobbly than these are. These are more of a... I mean, there's more strength in the actual blocks on these tyres because they're mostly linked, whereas you don't get a lot of that on the TKC80s. There's only a few of them that are linked. Just gonna... But I mean, I'm sorry, these are 50-50 tyres. And I'm just... They handle like 80-20s. They handle well for 80-20s as well. Talking about the off-road handling, I'm not a Chris Northover, I'm not a Simon Pavey, a Level Pavey or anyone like that. Chris Birch, like any of the above. I'm none of those people, I'm not as good as any of those people. I do roughly know my way around a bike off-road. I did a lot of motocross when I was younger, blah blah blah. And I do like to take bikes off-road. General dirt, dust and off-road trails, they were really good. Super confidence inspiring. Grass was a little bit slippy. The one thing that really surprised me with this was the sand. The way they sort of dug into a corner. I could pull my front brake on, tuck it into a corner with sand, and they just gripped, which was really odd. And I say odd because the only other tyres that actually would do that are actual proper off-road knobbly tyres. Where they did struggle a little bit was the mud. They were quite slimy and slippery, but the only kind of tyres that work in mud, like proper thick gloopy mud, are out and out off-road knobbly tyres. Yeah! That was boggy as hell! Ah! She's down. Jesus, I'm knackered. God, this is hard on this bike. Fuck. Yes! Go on, girl! Accelerating wise, you'd still get the rear end spinning up, but they definitely propelled me way more than a set of, well, way more than my Anarchy Adventures did. Little bit of a hill climb going on. Take them up the inside. Off-road, I was very impressed with them. The big caveat for me on this as well is that these are 50/50 tyres, but they are also trying to deal with me putting through 150, 160 horsepower through the rear wheel. And then they're also dealing with the fact that it's a 240 odd kilo adventure bike. They shouldn't be as good as they were, basically. So I think that's enough about the off-road stuff. Let's get on to the road stuff, shall we? Because I think that's where most people are going to be using them. Before I start any of this, I'm talking very much for a knobbly tyre, or a semi-knobbly tyre, whatever you want to call it. They're not going to be as supportive on the road, in the wet, in the dry, whatever it is, as an out-and-out road tyre. It's just not going to happen before someone goes, I bought these tyres and you said they were really grippy, but they're not. Yeah, I had way less confidence in a TKC80 in an Anarchy Wild with those tyres on the road. And at this kind of mileage as well, especially on the TKC80s, it felt like the front bearings had gone, because the bike was just sort of going along doing this kind of thing all the time. Coming on to some negatives, just because I've not basically shut up about how good these things are. Knobbly tyres, and even some semi-knobblies, they're not great when it comes to noise. Like, they're normally quite noisy, they hum quite a lot. Up to 70 miles an hour, or in indicated 70 miles an hour, they're sort of fine. There is a hum there. If I sit at 77, indicated on the dashboard, on the Super Adventure GPS speed, that's exactly 70 miles an hour. Can you hear that noise? I've got earplugs in and that is loud. If I slow down to the indicated 70, it's nowhere near as bad. If you're only doing short distances, not a problem. If you're going to ride down to the south of France on them, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. What's really weird about it though is it's in that sweet spot. There's a 5 mile an hour section where they get really loud, but after that they're sort of fine. Not that I would do this, I'm suddenly transporting myself to Mexico whilst doing so, but if I sit at not 70 mile an hour and they're actually quite quiet, you get a bit of a wow 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 kind of noise. That's it. The noise it actually sounds like is, you know, if you ever pull up next to a lorry on the motorway and there's that sort of loud whiny hum that they get from their tyres, that's what it sounds like. There it is again. Another thing I really like about these tyres, so I'm gonna go bad good because then people will watch my video for longer. Other than the off-road performance, other than the way they handle on the road and everything, is they look really nice. Well, it's a very subjective thing for one, but also it's a very pointless thing as well. It's a set of Dunlop tyres that look like a snake skin, and quite a lot of people have said to me, why don't I try those, because they're meant to be really good. I mean, they're not awful looking tyres, I just think they look a bit shit. I know it's very stupid and very meaningless, but if I want my bike to look cool, I want it, the tyres can make a very big difference. It's the same thing with like alloy wheels on a car. You can have a 200 grand Ferrari which looks stunning and stick some bad wheels on it and it ruins the whole car. Same kind of thing with tyres because they're so visible. So coming on to my second negative, that all of this stuff here, all of the bad the imperfections in the road, any high levels of white lines or lines on the road or anything like that, they react with so much. They're obviously designed to be able to move dirt out of the way and stuff, but when that stuff is solid, it grabs it and it shakes your wheels all over the place, which is, for a lot of people, I would assume is probably quite unnerving. Going into London where there's a lot of filtering you're doing through the middle and there's cracks in the asphalt, it becomes a little bit difficult to filter, like it throws you off balance. Right, if I just quickly show you this, like if I go on this bus stop bit, see what I mean? Just grabs it so quickly. Going hot into a corner, that's probably the worst point, because you go into a corner quite quick, which the tyres will handle, but then there's sort of some divots in the road or something like that, and it can really throw you off. Loud noises. Right, so here's some here. See, like, it wasn't a lot, but I don't know whether you saw that. I went over that and it kind of just grabbed it a little bit. That's all it is. You just need to keep an eye out for it, need to be able to react quickly to it. Overall, as a set of tyres, regardless whether they're 50-50, 80-20 or whatever you want to call them, they are very, very good on road and off-road. Normally you're massively compromised in one area, whereas if you've got something like a TKC80, you're way better off-road, but when it comes to on-road, they're not as good. They're a little bit unnerving in some corners. When they start getting worn down, they feel like your front bearings are gone, that kind of thing. And I also got 1,300 miles out of a rear tyre on one, riding exactly how I do now. As much as I love my Anarchy Adventures or anything like that, they are basically just slightly more aggressive looking road tyres. They're not as good in the wet as something like a Road 6 is, but they're not as good off-road as something like these are. So you're compromised with both kind of sides. I've ridden them in greasy and wet conditions and they handled pretty well. You wouldn't catch me trying to throw it around a corner really, really quick in the wet on them. They were very, very capable for the conditions. Again, I haven't ridden them in very, very wet conditions. But yeah, anyway, bored of talking, so I'm going to go spank the living shit out of my bike now. That is a really off-camber corner. Little bit of a spin up there. Like, this should not be doing this on knobbly tyres. Hey! Took off there. The bike is definitely moving around more than a set of road tyres would. But, I mean, look what I'm doing. Bloody Nora. Some bloke an American guy commented on my video the other day and just went, "What's a bloody Nora?" So overall, as you can tell, I quite like them. Anyway, thank you very, very much. I've just got a notification saying I need to set my video live, so I'm going to go and do that. Thank you very much for joining me. Let me know what you think, if you've got a set on, if you've tried a set, and I will see you in next week's video. Goodbye.